up your money, but the point is you can do it. It just gets easier over time. The first one is the hardest. It's always the hardest because you need to use your active income to really get to this point. But let's go back to the 10K. Let's say you have a 10K salary. So let me try to get to the next slide. Yeah. So 10K, as you can see, the UAE bank allows you to, or you're qualified, right? And you can be married, you can be single. The fact is, you can do it. Now, to be aware, uh, my this new property that we're getting, uh, it it has to be under. I mean, it's both under our names, but she's the primary holder. So the thing about banks, it can be anywhere, but in the UAE, with what's happening right now with the whole war situation and everything, instead of paying down 20%, we had to pay down 30%. So just be aware of those things that can happen. You should have a buffer basically. So uh, we are getting this rental property for, I think, 500,000. Ideally, it should have been 20%. I don't know how much that is. Again, my math is really bad, but I'm assuming 120, something like that. But now you have to, make it 150. And also there's DLD stuff to think about. So I'll go to the next slide. So as I mentioned, you can get a studio apartment now. Luckily, we got a one bedroom for 500. It was a distressed deal. Something to also take note, if you are renting, right? Just imagine how much you're paying your landlord, right? So when I was in Barsha, I used to pay for a one bedroom. It was 43,000, right? And for most people, and I was having a pretty decent salary at that time. Still a lot of money. I had a How old was my kid? Probably, I think he was 5 by then. Anyway, you have to think about costs. So that I was able to, you know, uh, do because I didn't know better at that time. But if I could talk to myself, 5 years ago, I'd really push for getting a studio or a one bedroom. But yeah, things happen at the right time. So hopefully you see this video and say, okay, something to think about. Because yes, to get a one bedroom today in Dubai's market, you're gonna spend for a one bedroom 650,000. You can try to get a one bedroom for 600,000, but yeah, good luck with that. Or you're gonna live in international city, and yeah, you don't want to live in international city, not at least right now, unless you live in the new phase where, yeah. So two bedroom, it's even worse. You gotta pay 700 to 800,000, which is crazy. Um, at least for me, because my wife and I bought this house that we're in Damac Hills too for 850. We got, again, right timing, distressed deal. All right. So as mentioned, 20% down payment. Um, yeah. So as I mentioned earlier, you need to take into account the transfer fees, DLD fee, broker fee, all that stuff. So also be prepared for just surprises. So when we bought this house, we got it from a gentleman who seemed pretty cool. Everything was fine. We met him in Barsha, which was great because we I thought we had to, you know, I was assuming in my head like, oh, people who own properties are like, people who are uh, abroad or really busy. No, they're just like normal people. It's just they have done the same thing. They just keep accumulating money and investing. Anyway, so met him, everything was fine, and then he wanted us to pay a bit more, and it was so dramatic. I had to go to the lawyer's office in Business Bay, and we had to figure out everything last minute. The bank was calling me saying, hey, listen, you better sign this deal now, because if you don't, um, then you're not going to get the house. So all those things, you just have to be level headed, keep calm, keep composed. Things will happen for the better. That was just our personal situation, but at the end of the day, if you got 10,000 as your salary, you are hedging against inflation, you're hedging against all these crazy rent prices, and it's only gonna increase more now with, all these metro stations popping up in 2028, 2029, and just with the whole situation with what's happening around the world. So this is a really good way to uh, just escape that whole rent trap. And again, if for whatever reason you're getting issues with keeping the unit, just sell it. So uh, when we when I got my first rental property, which was last year, it was in Dubai Silicon Oasis. We just as soon as we got it, as soon as the transaction happened, the value already went up. It was 550. It went up to 600K. So there's always a benefit to keeping these types of assets. Of course, check the unit, or at least get pictures, get video if the tenant is inside. But that is the best way moving forward, especially if you don't want to keep all your money just in cash. Yes, keep some in cash, but you need to either put it into stocks, ETFs, not stocks, index funds. Okay, like as I mentioned before, VOO and Schwab SCHD or QQQ, whatever. You can do your research, but you're basically having it in buckets. So cash bucket, index funds bucket, and your real estate bucket. This is ideally the way you should be doing stuff. So next is about the purchase. Yeah. So as I've mentioned, this is pretty much the details. So 20%, 100,000 DLD fee, real estate fee. You gotta pay the people who found the unit for you, right? So uh, the way we found our unit, it was crazy because for almost 1 year we went around Dubai, even Ajman, everywhere. We went everywhere. We went to some really bad places in uh, Ajman, so I don't want to even talk about that, but it was nasty. Uh, Ajman is much better now. There's a lot of places you can look at where they have, I think, 0% or even like a really small down payment. So if you can do that, I haven't done it, so I'm not gonna confidently speak about it, but I've seen people do that, where they buy in Ajman. But I'm going to talk about Dubai. So the reason why I want to also invest in Dubai is, well, I've studied in Dubai, you know, most of my life, high school, um, and my friends are here. I've been working here for a long time, so I don't really want to focus on another emirate because what's the point? Also, the yield is not great. If you invest in Dubai real estate, it's 6 to 8%. Anyway, even more maybe. So let's see. The point is, uh, getting to this 20%. I mean, you need to, yes, of course, come up with this cash, but how to find it? So how did we find this unit? When I first bought my house, as I mentioned, we were looking everywhere. Eventually, I got an ad on my Instagram from a company called Husby. That's Huspy. So these guys basically deal with the bank mortgage, and they have the agents or the brokers, so they can actually find the place. So I would have never thought about living in Damac Hills too. Luckily, our agent found it. She said, "Okay, look, I have a timing. We can go check the place." Uh, and we were happy with it. We liked the location. Uh, we liked the view. We liked the garden. All those things, all those factors. And again, bear in mind, my wife and I have always been living in apartments, right? And one bedroom. We used to live in Sharjah. Same thing, apartments. So for us to live in a nice community like the Mark Hills too was like, wow. Anyway, the point is, she even helped us find the rental unit in DSO. Actually, she didn't. Basically, her husband also happens to be a mortgage broker, so he helped us basically figure out, which bank to choose. He did all those transactions. The only thing we did was find the actual rental property, which we had to do through Dubizzle. There was also Beirut. So we just kept checking on Dubizzle, Beirut, making sure that, okay, I'll look in Dubizzle check, okay, how much is the price? What's the service charge? How much is the square feet? I'll check how much is it rented for? Because I need to make sure I know what's the cash flow. So all those things you gotta keep in mind so that when you finally buy the place, yes, you're using a big chunk of money, but you know that your tenant is paying the mortgage and you're getting some cash flow on top. So super important. It's not just, oh, I bought something and no. It's either you live in it because you're hedging, or you use it as a rental property. You make sure as I've mentioned before, my DSO unit is making 3,500 dirhams. So my mortgage is only 1,800, which means I have a cash flow on top. That is awesome, and that's what you need to think about. Next, uh, build a 150K safety net. So 135K, as mentioned, headroom strategy. Oops. Uh, Target buffer, yeah. Purpose of the buffer, yeah. DIWA. So I think we pretty much talked about this. I should have landed on this slide earlier, but anyway, you get the point. Have a buffer, which I've been talking about. Again, how to get this buffer, you need to save. Yeah. So I'm not really good with numbers, but my wife is great at saving. So this is pretty much what we did. Our living expenses was 40%, and the rest was going into the property fund. And I wasn't really realizing that because my whole goal was just go to work, give a bunch of, a big chunk of money to my wife because I know that I trust my wife that she'll handle it properly and put it somewhere that we're going to utilize it properly. Um, and bear in mind, even when we did this, we were not great at uh, putting our money into stocks or ETFs or index funds. We were just really saving. So you don't have to be an expert at stock trading or index funds or crypto, which I was trying to do in 2021, 22, which was fail. Anyway, the point is you can even get your first property just by saving, just by pushing yourself to lower your expenses. Don't go out that much. I didn't have a car. We only had one car. I used to take the metro from Barsha to JVC every day for 2, 3 years. I used to live in Sharjah. Going to JVC, I would just get help from my friend who also worked at the same company to drop me to work. So all those things you gotta figure out and save that cash so that you can put it into investments rather than, oh, I've got a high salary, but I'm spending most of my salary on my rent, which is insane to me. So that's what we did. Figure out side hustles. So my wife DJs, which is great. Cool. So next is transition from rent liabilities. Okay. Um, yeah. So house hacking, as I've mentioned before in another video, just this year another way to make some extra cash. We started. This room is actually going to be rented. Though, where I'm talking right now, I'm it's pretty empty as you can see. But yeah, we're gonna rent this room soon, and that's covering half my mortgage for this place. So I'm trying to keep my costs down as much as possible, so I can again accumulate more. So that's the beauty of keeping these investments, because if you get it right, you can basically go from, okay, I'm only accumulating or only have savings of 20K or 50, 40K a year, which would used to be my wife and I. And then, oh, okay, now it's been from, let's say that was 2020, yeah, 2021, 22, yeah, 2021, COVID, 2020, 21, not so much savings, kept pushing. 2023, we bought our house. 2024, oh, I've got some more savings. I'm not having only 40K as my savings in one year. Oh wait, I have 60 or 70K savings now. Oh, okay, nice. Didn't see that coming. And then luckily I got the refinance on this house, put it into the first rental property. Now I'm starting to get more cash stacking because again I'm having that cash flow from my tenant, and then so it just it's a snowball effect. It just keeps. All right. So next, uh, yeah, track every dirham. I pretty much said that. Just save, uh, and then yeah, I would say go with a mortgage broker. They will help you with a lot of things rather than doing it individually, because then you have to deal directly with the bank. I'm sure there are people who do it, but I can't do that. I work, my wife works, so if you want, I could lead you to Husby or Ankish, who's our contact at Husby. He's really good guy. Um, what's funny is enough, I've never met him. I've met the wife because she was our broker, but I've actually never met this guy. I keep talking to him on the phone. Um, but yeah, that's Dubai life. You just you're busy. So, other than that, lock down the savings and find a good location or a unit. Last but not least, uh, it is it is efficient. You can do it. You just have to be disciplined. I'm not disciplined, guys. I like to spend. I like to get my cameras. I like to, buy random toys and stuff for my kid, Nintendo games. But you just need to focus. You need to just make sure, if you're not really disciplined, just make sure you have a goal, which is, I've got a goal. I've got a whiteboard, and this whiteboard basically tells me you need to make this by this time, you need to give this, you need to do this. So that's how my mind works. It might be different for you, but that's just how it is. People are different. I don't um, work in a very numbers way. I'm a very creative guy. I like doing videos. I like doing stuff like this, you know. So I'm running way too long on this. This is 25 minutes now. Hope this video helps. If you are in Dubai uh, and figuring out how to retire, doesn't matter what age you are, love to connect. I'm trying to figure out how to semi retire. So that's my whole thing. I want to semi retire by 47, hopefully retire by 55. I'm 40 now. Uh, just connect, message me if you're into this type of thing, or you're just wondering how to get into investing properties, or yeah, figuring out how to make some extra cash. Peace.